49ers breaking news. They've signed a veteran receiver. Robbie Chosen, formerly known as Robbie Anderson, joins the team for the second time, actually. And we're on our way from Golden Gate Park. It's a big musical weekend in the Bay Area. Casper's going to take us to a swim. Have to have the Grateful Dead hat on. What a great weekend for the city. 60,000 people a day in Golden Gate Park for the 60th anniversary of the Grateful Dead, and I think it's a good musical weekend in the entire Bay Area with Trent Williams and Morgan Wallen and George Kittle all in the same place. That was actually in Levi's Stadium. But speaking of Trent Williams, I mean, he looked like a badass going out there with Morgan Wallen. 49ers looking for some offensive tackle help, not because of Big Trent, of course, but because they need some reinforcements to help them get through this training camp. So the 49ers worked out 6 players today, which was technically a player's day off. Although I was in the facility, I got some good intel from the 49ers assistant coaches. But of the 6 players that the 49ers worked out, 3 of them were offensive tackles. There was Isaiah Prince, 28-year-old. He was with the Titans last year. David Sharp, a 28-year-old who was previously with the Jets, so some overlap with Robert Saleh. At one point, Sharp weighed 343 pounds, so really, really big offensive tackle. I do wonder if David Sharp is still at that weight. And then Dante Smith was the Bengals' backup tackle for a few years. Backup left tackle, 27-year-old. He worked out for the 49ers as well. This is the Outer Richmond district, or I guess maybe we're in the Inner Richmond at this point in San Francisco. Let's see, what avenue are we at? We're at 12th Avenue. Yeah, I would say this is the Inner Richmond, which is an awesome neighborhood, awesome day here in the city. We see another Waymo. It was cool to see all the tourists who are here for the Grateful Dead show. I think this is big in the resurrection of San Francisco, like getting into Waymos outside of Golden Gate Park. Quite the scene out there. I have a lot of friends actually going to the concert. I have other things to do. Got to cover the 49ers right now, but it was a scene in Golden Gate Park. The other 3 tryouts the 49ers had are cornerbacks. Zy Alexander, Derek Langford, and Fabian Moreau. You may have heard Fabian Moreau's name. He's 31. He's been around the league for a while now. He was with Minnesota last year. So shows me that the 49ers are thinking about bringing a veteran in, similar to the Eli Apple signing that San Francisco made a few days ago. They're not bringing somebody in necessarily to compete for a spot on the roster, but they're trying to make sure that they can get through this training camp, which is a laborious process, not just for the 49ers, but for all teams. You're constantly looking to fill out the depth so that you're not taxing players too much reps-wise. We are officially in the dog days of August now. And preseason's coming up, too. The 49ers need to make sure that the roster is bolstered for the football games that are going to be happening starting less than a week from now. On Saturday, the 49ers are going to be hosting the Denver Broncos. And before then, they're going to have a joint practice against the Broncos. So you got to make sure that the roster is up to speed in that regard. But other than Moreau, Derek Langford is actually from Berkeley. He also spent some time with the Jets and then in the UFL. Langford is a 6'1 corner, so he's cut from the taller cloth. And Zy Alexander spent some time with Seattle last offseason. He's young, 23 years old, but almost 6'2". So we know that Robert Saleh's defense has evolved over time. It's not just the Seattle-style cover 3 with the really big cornerbacks, the 6'3 Richard Sherman types. I know the 49ers used to be obsessed with that body type at corner. They're much more versatile as a defense now, but occasionally you'll see that 6'2 cornerback come through the 49ers for a workout, and that's where San Francisco currently is with Zy Alexander. So those 6 players have tried out. We'll see if the 49ers make any official signings. They will sign Robbie Chosen. We're making another right turn here with Casper. This is an unusual route. Normally we're going through different parts of the city. Today, shout out to the Outer Richmond district, and shout out to Casper here. He sees when there's a bike crossing. Casper's become very safe lately, almost like a human driver at this point, taking us to the beautiful waterfront in San Francisco. So Robbie Chosen joins Marquez Callaway, who the 49ers had signed a couple days before. They release him. So one veteran in, another veteran out. Callaway had been with the Saints before and had been a productive receiver a few years ago, but apparently the 49ers got a look at him and said they can upgrade with Robbie Chosen. And Robbie Chosen was with them from August 12th to August 27th of last year. So he was a camp body in 2024. likely that same status again, but it's worth some respect. Robbie Chosen has over 5,000 receiving yards in his career, has 30 touchdowns in his career. He's 6'3". When he first came out of Temple, he was running a 4.36 40 at 6'3". So he's obviously got physical gifts. He's a long, lanky cornerback. And the 1 year with the Panthers in 2020, Robbie Chosen had 95 catches and over 1,000 receiving yards. He's obviously past that point in his career, but he said that his workout went really well. We saw that on social media, and I think that it's a good veteran presence to have in the room. The 49ers certainly enjoyed his presence for those 15 days or so last August, and he's probably going to be around for around that period of time, or maybe a little bit longer through August of this season. As we know, the 49ers receiving room is in a little bit of turmoil. Ricky Pearsall is at the top of that room right now, and he's doing a really good job, and I think DeMarcus Robinson's doing a really good job, but Jacob Cowing is still going to be out for another week, so you've got to find a way to make up for some of those snaps. Brandon Ayuk is going to be out for at least probably another 2 months, so you have to continue making up for some of those snaps. And the big elephant in the room is Juwan Jennings, who they're saying it's a calf injury, but he's now been out for 5 straight practices. We'll see if tomorrow's number 6, and we'll see what happens along the front of a new contract for Juwan Jennings. And when you've got all these little issues, they add up, and when they add up, then it takes a toll on the back end of your roster, and you need somebody to go in there and eat some more snaps, and I think that's exactly where the 49ers are right now with Juwan Jennings. Yesterday, I wrote about Ricky Pearsall, and that article is up on the San Francisco Standard. I mean, he was dominant, downright dominant for the 49ers in their practice before this day off. If that continues, I think Ricky, you could pencil him in for a season of over 1,000 yards for San Francisco. We got a chance to talk to some of the 49ers assistant coaches today. Mick Lombardi, who's the quarterback's coach, I asked him a little bit about Ricky Pearsall and Brock Purdy and the work that they've put in, and I think they've put in some really quality work for San Francisco over the course of this offseason, and it's evident in the timing that those two guys have shown on the field. And yesterday when they combined for all those catches, I called it the Grand Slam of catches because it was 4 catches from Pearsall from Brock Purdy, 1 from one of the 49ers backup quarterbacks, but those 4 catches were all on different route combinations. So you had the post over the middle, you had a deep crosser over the middle, you had a deep out pattern, and then you had a bootleg, just a little bit of a shorter, flat kind of motion from Ricky Pearsall. And the connection was there on each and every one of them. I understand on the shorter pass, it probably wasn't that all too hard to connect, but some of those throws had to be very, very layered for the 49ers as this was moving further downfield for Ricky Pearsall. And they had to be through the coverage, over the coverage, and under the coverage, and Brock Purdy did a really good job in all of those instances. Today, as we talked to the 49ers coaches, Chris Foerster was very insightful. I think he even brought a little bit of news. And this is something that I said in the show the past couple days. I surmised that it was a big deal that Ben Bartch, the 49ers left guard, ever since being activated from the non-football injury list, was thrust right into the first team left guard position. And apparently it was indeed a big deal. Listen to Foerster on the veteran left guard, Ben Bartch.
It's Bartch's job to lose, really. Nick had a chance when Ben was hurt early, but Ben came back quick enough, and if Nick would have really asserted himself and taken the role, but I mean, he was good, but we still feel Ben gives us the best shot.
So that is confirmation from Chris Foerster, the 49ers O-line coach, that Ben Bartch is in fact in command to be the 49ers starting left guard. And that's a big deal for San Francisco, because I think that the one thing that can make an offensive line better more than anything is continuity. These guys play together. They will have an opportunity to start ironing out some of the intricacies that might have eluded them in 2024. And the best line I thought that the 49ers had in 2024 went Trent Williams on the left side, Ben Bartch at left guard. Yes, I thought he was better than Aaron Banks. Jake Brendel obviously was the center all year for the 49ers. Dominic Pooney at the right guard position, and then Colton McKivitz at right tackle. I think that's as good as it got for the 49ers, and this view is pretty awesome too. You can see the water there. That's the Presidio out in front of us. Presidio Heights in San Francisco. I think Steve Kerr lives in this neighborhood. It's a nice scenic drive for Casper to take us through as we do talk about the 49ers offensive line. So the 49ers have a chance now that Ben Bartch is back at practice, now that he's done more than Nick Zakelj. Zakelj would have had to have stolen that job from Ben Bartch. He didn't, and now it's a chance for Ben Bartch to build on what they said was a very productive offseason. Obviously, he hit a little bit of a hiccup with the quad injury. That happened while he was squatting away from the team facility. But now it's a chance to improve for the 49ers and to find that cohesion up front. We also talked to Chris Furster about the 49ers swing tackle situation. And this is, again, something that I mentioned over the past couple days on the show. It looked to me, based on practice, that the 49ers weren't running a swing tackle. They were just running a backup left tackle, and that's Spencer Burford, and a backup right tackle, and that's Austin Pleasance. They do think that Andre Dillard, the signee from this offseason, is going to be back at some point soon. If that does indeed happen, then maybe Andre Dillard actually operates as a true swing, meaning that he takes snaps at both left tackle and right tackle. But as of now, the 49ers are specializing on both of those sides with separate players. They actually did it a couple years ago with Jalen Moore at left tackle and Matt Pryor at right tackle. Look at this. We got to make an assertive move, and we're doing it as we climb up Pacific Heights. We're going to go straight here, and we're going to get an epic shot. You guys are going to be able to see down into the marina. Look at that, the Palace of Fine Arts in front of us. These are actually the Lion Street steps. I think that Casper decided to show San Francisco off today, from Golden Gate Park all the way through the marina by the Lion Street steps with the Palace of Fine Arts, built for that Pan-Pacific Exposition, I think back in 1912, long time ago. But we're getting the very, very pretty drive on a gorgeous day today. Anyway, a couple years ago, the 49ers ran Matt Pryor at right tackle, Jalen Moore at left tackle. So they didn't run a normal swing setup, and that may be what they like this year. I asked Chris Furster if that's because Spencer Burford is more comfortable on the left side, and he said, yeah, that's what he figures, because Spencer Burford played on the right for the 49ers early on by necessity at right guard. It obviously wasn't great there, but he played left tackle at the University of Texas, San Antonio, and just the other day we saw Spencer Burford sprinting out ahead of a sweep to Isaac Guerrero. Really nice looking play for San Francisco. So I think that they're much happier with Spencer where he's at right now, and it is looking at the 49ers do want to spruce up that tackle situation, at least for the purpose of reps at practice, and that's why they have brought in Isaiah Prince, David Sharp, and Dante Smith for workouts. We'll see if they sign any of those guys. Look at this. A look toward Russian Hill in San Francisco. This really is the path that we want to take today. Casper is doing a good job showcasing the city for us. Hopefully the water is nice and receptive to me. I have a feeling it's going to feel cold, but I got to get back in shape. There are no more excuses. Not for me, not for the 49ers. Johnny Holland also talked today. This is from Nick Wagner. I wasn't able to make it to Johnny's corner of the room, but he said that he wouldn't be surprised if D. Winters takes 90% of the snaps this season. He thinks that D has taken a big stride. Earlier today, I made the video talking about who's winning all the 49ers position battles, and, well, I said D. Winters is winning that linebacker 2 battle, and Johnny Holland essentially confirmed that for San Francisco. It's going to be D at that linebacker spot next to Fred Warner. It shouldn't shock anybody because everything that we've seen in practice from the 49ers so far has definitely indicated that. So Ben Bartch at left guard, D. Winters at linebacker number 2. Now we could see who wins linebacker 3. I know they're impressed with Nick Martin. Look, we got some Waymo on Waymo crime here. These guys running into each other. Good. No contact. I like that. We were able to slither on by, and now we're dipping in toward the bay, right under the trolley bus wires. So D is locked in. Nick Martin, that's going to be a very, very interesting question. Is it going to be him, or is it going to be Luke Gifford or Chaz Surratt at that third linebacker spot? I think that they're happy with the progress that Nick Martin is making. These preseason games and the joint practice against the Denver Broncos are all going to be very, very indicative of what the 49ers might end up doing. Looking more through some of the other stuff that we got from the 49ers assistant coaches today. It's actually been a relatively busy day, especially considering the fact that the 49ers didn't practice today. Talked a long time to Gus Bradley, who is the assistant head coach, whose son is now on the 49ers. You know, Gus said that he had only seen his son play a game like twice in his entire life. And now his son, Carter, is a quarterback for the 49ers. So congratulations to them. They're both on the same team now. But Gus Bradley's been an NFL coach for a long time. So there just hadn't been the opportunity to see Carter play, whether it be at college at South Alabama, where Darrell Luter Jr. was Carter Bradley's teammate, or even in the NFL. Carter was with the Raiders last year. Just hadn't been that kind of opportunity, but now Gus is going to have that chance. And it's so fun to talk to Gus Bradley because he understands the big picture of the 49ers and Robert Saleh's evolution, because he was the guy that hired Robert Saleh earlier in his career. Saleh was a quality control guy with the Seahawks and the Legion of Boom, but it was with the Jags, where you saw Gus Bradley was the head coach, and he brought Robert Saleh over to be his linebackers coach. And then Saleh took the 49ers DC job, and then he took the Jets head coaching job, and now Saleh hired Gus Bradley. So as we talk about the 49ers defense evolving, as we talk about it maturing, I think that we absolutely have to pay attention to the fact that Gus Bradley is like this observer, this coach whisperer, if you will, this measuring stick. He's able to really identify how Robert Saleh has matured and how the 49ers have managed to take this to, hopefully, from their perspective, a 2.0 version of the defense that Robert Saleh had for the first time. So we heard a lot of that kind of talk from Gus Bradley today as the 49ers assistant coaches spoke to the media for the first time this season, second time this offseason. One more note on the 49ers receiver position, since we're talking about Robbie Chosen and a spot where it seems that the 49ers are signing a player, a new guy every other day. Ricky Pearsall, according to the position coach Leonard Hankerson, is officially the fastest receiver playing right now for the 49ers on the practice field. So all hamstring worries should be far in the rearview mirror. Ricky is A-okay, and he is moving very, very quickly out on that field. You combine the speed with which he's playing, and they can measure these things with the GPS trackers. Combine that with just the route running precision that we've seen from Ricky Pearsall, and that's when you get the kind of results that the 49ers like, that they have seen so far. This was from Leonard Hankerson as we passed Amarena. That's one of my favorite restaurants in San Francisco. He said that Pearsall is the fastest receiver on the roster right now, and the key, as you'd expect, is just stringing good days together and staying healthy. Pearsall hasn't had a ton of practice time in his young career. Ricky was talking about that yesterday. He was saying last year, week 7 to toward the end of the year, that was like training camp for me. And then once he finished his de facto training camp, he had those 14 catches for 210 yards over the final 2 games. Looks like we're not going down the cable car street today. Looks like we're going to continue climbing steep up Russian Hill. It's good, fine with me. We're just going to see more very, very good views as we make our way through. Maybe Leavenworth? No, we're going to continue. This is wild. I've never seen this Waymo, give us a shot of Nob Hill. That's Nob Hill to the right. Those of you who have stuck through all of this, you're getting a new route. You're getting blue skies in San Francisco. Schedule for this week for the 49ers is going to be Monday and Tuesday practice. After practice on Monday and Tuesday, 49ers players will get a day off on Wednesday, and then it's the Broncos coming in on Thursday. Walkthrough on Friday. Game is happening on Saturday, and we are steep down Russian Hill. Look at Alcatraz out in front of us. So it all starts to slowly morph into more of a game cadence this week, because the next week the 49ers are going to do another joint practice, but they're going to have to travel to Las Vegas, and that joint practice is also on Thursday. So 1 week apart, joint practices against AFC West teams. First the Broncos, then the Raiders. Games on Saturday against both of those two teams as well. Man, we're having to slam on the brakes hard. These are steep, steep hills, so we make it through. Quintessential San Francisco ride And I'm really happy that we took a different way. They're going to wear the brakes out on these Jaguars. Jaguars. I don't care. I think you're supposed to say Jaguar if it's the car. But see, these are Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to wear the brakes out if they keep on going down these 40-degree hills in San Francisco. Following the week against the Raiders, where the 49ers should get some players back, where we should see Renardo Green, Jacob Cowing, maybe amongst other returns. Following that week, the 49ers are going to play the Chargers. No joint practices against Jim Harbaugh and company, but there is a chance that we get to see Trey Lance take on San Francisco at Levi's Stadium. Third preseason game. I think that he might even get a whole half. I think that the key for Trey Lance is to get as many reps as possible. So if you're a team like the Chargers, if you're Jim Harbaugh, yeah, you play him in the Hall of Fame game. Saw a lot of Trey, 20 pass attempts, but probably see a lot of Trey at Levi's Stadium against the 49ers. So that might be a media spectacle, if you will. You can take another look at Alcatraz here, moving forward. Now we're working our way down Russian Hill, almost to the Dolphin Club. Gonna see my buddy Leo this afternoon, his new fiance, McKinley. Congratulations to them as they roll through San Francisco. They're on their way back from Napa or someplace like that. All right, we're going to be rolling to the Dolphin Club soon. Well, that's it. This has been your 49ers update. Starting in Golden Gate Park, Grateful Dead 60th anniversary. Ending here by the water. 49ers make a signing. Robbie Chosen. They work out a bunch of players, and their assistants give us some nice intel. We'll talk to you soon.